Louisiana Republican Congressman Steve Scalise. He's the chair of the Republican Study Committee. His alternative health care bill gained its 105th co-sponsor earlier today. Also with us, we welcome back Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson, who's sponsoring a bill which would allow Americans to permanently keep their existing health plans. The House, by the way, is scheduled to vote on its version of that bill tomorrow. Senator Johnson, did anything change today with President Obama's speech, which we are describing as there's less there than meets the eye? Do you expect any votes now on the alternative plans to renew the canceled policies?
Well, it sounds to me like President Obama is going to do this again by executive fiat, where he has no legal authority to do so. But also, whatever he's proposing is simply not going to work. I mean, we've already got, so much damage already caused by Obamacare into the individual insurance markets. All these plans have been approved by state regulators. The rates have been approved. It's pretty hard to turn the clock back on this. State high-risk pools are basically being disbanded at the first part of the year. So it's going to be pretty difficult. I don't see how President Obama is, other than making a political statement, trying to blame the insurance companies for what Obamacare forced them to do, is about the only thing his executive order is going to accomplish.
All right. Steve Scalise, welcome back. Also, what would you put in its place? What would you put in its place? What would your main bullets be for a conservative Republican health care plan?
Well, Larry, it's good to be back. And the main things we would do is first reestablish that relationship between the doctor and the patient and empower patients, empower families to be in charge of their health care, not Washington politicians. And so some of the things we do in our bill, the American Health Care Reform Act, we allow people to buy insurance across state lines. Let them go in and invoke real competition by making choices. If they find a better plan in another state, let them go buy it. Let small businesses pool together to get the same buying power as a large business. We in fact invoke even more competition and transparency so that people can find out what plans cost. We increase health savings accounts. One of the really untold success stories in healthcare are health savings accounts. Again, it empowers people, lets them make the choices with their doctors of what kind of health care they want. So again, it's all based in market solutions in empowering people, but you can't fix this law. The president's realizing it, too. He knew this years ago that millions of people would lose their plan. But the foundation this was built upon, with all the unworkable mandates and taxes, are showing just what we said years ago, that the president's health care law is going to destroy the things that work really good for people in health care. And unfortunately, we're seeing that play out.
Senator Johnson, look, I want the freedom to choose my own health care plan. I don't want jammed down my throat with mandates that I don't care about, but not. Let me ask you this. A lot of the conservative alternatives to this down through the years have been a shift in tax policy where the deductions or the tax credits, call them deductions, employers have huge deductions. Why not either cap that or get rid of that and shift it to the individuals and the families, so they get the tax deduction and they can go shopping, as Steve Scalise said, across state lines and elsewhere. So tax reform goes hand in hand with consumer choice.
Yeah, really, the basic premise of all of our Republican proposals would be freedom. Allow people to have that choice. And you're exactly right. We need to, at a minimum, equalize the tax treatment. It's simply not fair that if you get your insurance through an employer, you get it with pre-tax dollars, but as an individual, you have to pay with after-tax dollars. We really need to reconnect the consumer of the product with the payment of the product. So there's far more, wiser choices being made by consumers with price transparency. You got to reintroduce the free market competitive system into healthcare. That's how you actually control costs, improve quality, and improve levels of customer service. The free market competitive system is a marvel. We ought to use it in our healthcare system.
I mean, Steve Scalise, it's almost like a free lunch. If your employer gets a deduction, then you heap on all these health care benefits, and then you go out and spend them. Well, some places have large copays. A lot of places still don't have large copays. Certainly a lot of the public unions don't have much copays, but a lot of the private unions, too. I mean, that system's got to be changed. It's an anachronism. It goes back to the late 1940s to dodge wage and price controls after World War II. Isn't it time to give the tax deduction to the individuals, all right, so they can protect themselves for catastrophic, and they know what precisely they're spending on health care?
Exactly, Larry. And in fact, we do that in our bill, the American Health Care Reform Act. We equalize tax treatment. because you shouldn't just be limited to your employer. If your employer provides good health care for you, that's great, but if you find a better deal for your family, shouldn't you be able to go out and buy that plan for your family and not have to pay with after-tax dollars? Be able to deduct those costs just like your employer can deduct them for that plan. So we equalize it. It's one of the things that's so attractive about our plan. It empowers families, again, to put them in control of their health care decisions. It's why we have over 100 members of Congress now that have co-sponsored this bill.
All right, great stuff. So freedom of choice, tax reform, a little responsibility in where you're spending this stuff. I think everybody's on the right track. I think they're good alternatives. We'll see if they surface and what's going to happen and whether Obamacare is going to completely break down. Anyway, Congressman Steve Scalise, thank you. Senator Ron Johnson, thanks very much.
Have a great night.